All right, friends, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. I hope you're having a great day. So today we're working out in the garden a little bit, and we are going to put our transplants into a garden bed. They're ready to go, but we got to do a couple things first. We're going to do some cleanup, and I will show you some tricks along the way to make sure that you have, so that when you transplant your seedlings or your transplants, they're going to do just fine. They're going to make it, and you're going to have a great harvest when it comes time to start pulling fruits and vegetables out of your garden. Stay with me now. So this is the garden bed that we're working with today. We're gonna clean up all this mess. This is just all kinds of weeds. Not really much in here that I need to keep or salvage. And we're gonna just kind of toss it into the wheelbarrow as we go, and it'll make some nice compost for us. So now we have done our cleanup here of the garden bed that we're going to be working with today, and we are getting ready to be planting into it. Now I just left a couple little things, as you can see, some volunteers, and there's a little bit of volunteer dill in there, right there, and right there, and a little bit of garlic that's hanging on. I'm not sure what happened there. We had a pretty awful rainstorm, and it looks like it damaged my garlic for some reason, but it could have been something else. I'm not sure. Okay, so for this next step, what you want to make sure you're going to do, obviously you're going to want to harden your transplants off to the sun, especially if you've been growing them indoors and not like an outside window box, an outside hot box or whatever. You want to harden them off to the sun. So what does that mean? You want to make sure that they, maybe like a week before you get ready to put them into the ground, you're putting them out in the sunlight for a couple hours each day, watering them really good. That starts to get them acclimated to the sun as opposed to indoor lighting or grow lighting. And then I do what's called no-till gardening, right? So and the reason I do this, I've talked about this in other videos before, but briefly, when you till, like if I tilled up all this area here, instead of just pulling out those roots by hand like you saw me doing, what I would be doing is destroying all the earthworms in there, all the beneficial fungi, I always forget the word, mycelium, the mushroom mycelium that helps foster healthy soil. You start destroying that, and yes, it will give you productivity that year, but at the cost of the development of the soil, which can take years to do. So I do no-till gardening instead. What you do, really simple, is you're just going to dig the little area that you need, right? You're going to put your transplant in there, and then I'm going to backfill it in with some nice fresh dirt. And what I like to do, if you're wondering, is I use a combination of topsoil, cow manure, and peat moss. So because I don't have a farm anymore and I'm urban gardening, I have to bring in some imports. I do use what compost I can that I make. Unfortunately for me, I am somewhat dependent on imports. Now, if you have the land to work with, you can completely make your own soil by just having a very large compost pile. All right, so that's really all there is to it. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in this whole area here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it a little bit more and what the next step is. All right, folks, and so that's pretty much it. What I did here is I've got a basil in between some of my plants. I did it down there as well. That's called polycropping or companion planting. And the idea is that some plants, such as herbs, also marigolds, pretty good about this too, help to drive pests away from your plants. So I've got cherry tomato, celebrity, I think that is, and these are two giant beefsteak ones. And then down here, we've got some peppers. I've got sweet orange, sweet red. And you should write this down so that later on in the summer when you're trying to figure out what's what and it hasn't changed to the color that it's supposed to be changing to. And then again, I got some basil in between there. I put a few more pepper plants over on that bed over there. And then I've got all this space in here, which not sure yet what I'm going to do. Maybe some sweet potatoes, but I might actually just grow flowers and marigolds in here too. I really haven't decided yet, but that's the idea. And so the last thing you would do after you've done all this, after you've got your transplants in the ground, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to give them a good watering and then check them again the next day. If they're kind of saggy and droopy, it just means they're having a hard time adjusting to the natural sunlight. Give them another good watering. Usually by day 3, they're going to be okay. Let me show you what I mean by the saggy and drooping. For some reason, these ones here It's just getting beat down a little bit more. See how that's kind of sagging and drooping? We're gonna water those right now and they should perk right up, but that happens. So don't feel like, you know, you're killing your plants. Don't give up on them if something like that happens after a transplant. It's just, you know, that the sun is very intense compared to like window light or grow lights if you're using grow lights. They will adjust. You're just gonna have to give them a little bit of time and give them lots of water, especially in the first few days. Folks, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. If you got anything of value out of this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to check the description as I drop all kinds of discount codes in there that I think you might like. Keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.